And welcome back to Barry's Poetic Session. I'm your host, Barry, a.k.a. the Dark Knight. And today, my co-host is the terrific, talented, titillating Takalani in the studio.
What's up, everybody?
And we have our special guest today, the wonderful, the wicked, WisdomthePsalmist.
All right, I'll take that. Hi, girl.
Welcome.
I will take that wicked, titillating. There's a lot of stuff going on up here already. That's what's up.
This is our girl. This is not just a guest. This is our girl.
The poet who's been doing it up and an activist. And just tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm glad we get to do that. I am a 42-year-old. 42 look good, don't it?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
And everything changes at 40s, lady. Just keep living. A 42-year-old sister and friend and daughter of the universe and daughter of the Most High, an activist, a writer, a poet, a performer, a nonprofit employee. It's interesting work. And ultimately, just a blessed spirit who kind of always knew very early on that I had a gift that was supposed to be shared with the world. So when I get the opportunity to do that amongst friends, it's definitely a blessing.
That's true, and it's been a long time coming, and thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I do think that your name, Wisdom, is very well deserved.
Thank you. It was birthed to me. I think, like a lot of poets, I came from the old school of poetry. I don't even tell y'all how long we've been doing this thing, but since way back. We would come to the stage as we were. Truly, when we first started doing this, none of us knew we were going to be poets. None of us, there was no money in the game. There was no features in the game. None of that stuff existed. We were doing it because we were writers, and it was a platform for us to say the things that we felt. And here we are, 15? Probably about 15,
so
maybe close to 20 years later.
So were you at Cafe Chin Chin?
Yeah. I was just coming back from Chicago, and Cafe Chin Chin's. I'm gonna tell y'all a little secret that most people don't know. I wanted to be a rapper.
Yeah.
Judge me.
I think you would be good
I
at
probably
that.
started rapping like I was about 6th grade. Queen Latifah, MC Light.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yo, that's me. That's what's up. Hip hop actually introduced me to being black. It's the truth. It was a lot of history in hip hop when that thing first started. Then when the game changed, maybe mid-90s, early mid-90s, right. I ain't had no voice anymore in hip hop because I ain't a gangster. I ain't never sold no dope. I mean, it was things that was happening in hip hop that I couldn't keep up with. So I kind of left the genre, that whole creative genre. So when Def Poetry dropped, it was like the clouds, the sky opened up, and the angels were singing to us,
Yes.
Cafe Chin Chin's. Yeah. I can't believe you. Was you at Cafe Chin Chin's?
Yeah, me and the last black man. And
okay, yeah. And Gina was there, and and then I did the Vibe with Perry Simmons. That came very soon after Chin Chin's for. I think we had like a 6-year run at the Vibe, which was pretty amazing. It was the crowd just renewed itself over and over and over again.
Wow,
it was an amazing experience, and we were setting a precedent for poetry in the city. We didn't even know. We were just doing what we love to do the most, and it was my first time hosting. And I got to act a complete fool, and I did, and I truly did. Hosting is different from poetry.
Oh, it is, absolutely.
It's very different, and there are poets who think they're hosts, and that ain't always the case. Because
it's two different skill sets.
Yeah, I think the job of a host is. It's a heavy job. You have to carry the show. You have to set the tone for the show. You have to be able to kind of even it out. You don't want all your best poets at the beginning and then newbies kind of in the middle. It's work. It's a lot of work. So Vibe, you know, and I left and went to New York and came back home. And I came back home and poetry was different.
Yeah.
It was different here. And I was like, yo, I don't even go like 4 years. What?
Right.
It's like it's fragmented, right?
Oh my gosh, there were these cliques of people, and it got different. But I think
It was like church. All of a sudden, you got 4 churches when there used to be just one.
Just one, you know. Yeah, so it looked very, very different. But I think what happened is people realized they can make money.
Yeah.
And
Money changes the game.
Yes, it does. You know, money is not the root of all evil. It is what you do with money that is the root. What you will do for money.
Yeah.
That is the root
That's
of
why we
all
call it
evil.
that.
So, you know, when it consumes who you are, and, you know, unfortunately, there are a lot of poets that it consumes them, and it dictates, you know, I guess their worth in this game. But when you believe, like my sister here, that you have something to say, then money or no money, you're going to say it.
That's right.
And that's what it is, yeah.
I think when you're chasing the money, your priorities have to change. And unfortunately, the first thing that changes is, you know, maybe your creativity.
Your authenticity.
A lot of things have to change, because I was thinking about actually doing that transition into making poetry a money-making thing, but I'm like, I can't put a price on my art. I really can't do it without feeling like I am sacrificing something.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, you have to cater to your crowd, you have to cater to what venue you're at, you have to, it's so many things that you have to do, and it's like, I'd rather just be me and say what I want, and I can make money in other ways.
And, you know, I think that you when money becomes a priority, you are no longer true to the words you wrote. You are true to the performance. And there certainly is a performance aspect to this thing. I feel different when I take a stage or I'm holding the mic. But I try to put myself in the place of whatever poem I'm doing in that emotion. And it's interesting to me. I always kind of, you hear a lot of different poets, and everybody has a lot of different styles. I think, though, that there is this... Don't laugh. I thought it was going to giggle. I'm being good. Y'all see me, I'm picking my words.
Right.
Woo! I'm choosing my words very wisely. I think that there are poets who are truer to the performance and not to the words. Every poem you write can't sound the same. A love poem can't sound like a revolutionary poem. You weren't in the same place when you wrote it,
right?
You know, but there is this formatted way that a lot of people perform, and I think they dope because they use big words. Let me just say this, and not that they're not dope. When I first started, I'm an English major. I got a master's degree in literature, so words. I know words. I have a huge vocabulary, and I used to do these poems. I swear, and the vocabulary was so huge. I would see people in the audience looking like, I think what she's saying is dope.
Maybe.
I ain't really sure.
She might be talking about
you gonna bring a dictionary to her next set, cause you know what I mean?
Right.
So then it dawned on me is, wait a minute, I got some things that I really need people to hear and feel and see, and if I'm speaking above them, then they're not getting it. So I decided I would become what they call a truth poet. And then Ty Stuckey, some of y'all might know Ty Stuckey, said, we're gonna call her Wisdom. And
Ty has named a lot of people.
That's why we call him the godfather of poetry in the city. Yeah, he's named
Shout out to Ty.
Or you call him Papa. Poetry.
Definitely.
But we're going to hear some poetry. We're going to take a short break and be right back. Barry's Poetic Session with Wisdom.
Hi, kids.
Tiny Tots Kitty Care, serving the Westwood area for over 18 years, is currently accepting enrollment for children ages 6 weeks to 12 years of age. Now open Monday through Friday, 24 hours a day. For more information, call 513-662-TOTS. That's 513-662-8687. And welcome back to Barry's Poetic Session with our special guest, Wisdom the Psalmist, who's going to do a little something for us right now.
First, I want to preface by saying, excuse the fact that I'm reading. I've taken a bit of a hiatus from poetry.
There is nothing wrong with reading.
Yeah, you know, we came up in the school that's like, you read, you know. So what? I'm reading. Here we go. I want to write a poem. One that thirsts for the abundance of life. Multi-layered, full of dreams and passions that burst forth with good times. Despite the hard times, maybe it will, but it might not rhyme. I want to write a poem, not of patriotism, but of pride. I mean, why should I pledge allegiance to this lie? Besides, my black is beautiful, so it will never be defined by European standards that be falsely designed to make me despise my lips, my hips, my skin kissed by the sunshine. See, these traits, they be inherently mine. So I'm gonna rock my naughty locks, discredited or mocked. They hate because they want what they ain't got. I want to write a poem in spoken word form so that my words resonate like the vibrations of a drum and stroke inner ears like the truisms of Erica in her state of Baduism. I want to write a poem, a heart to heart, mind to third eye, think, see, and do. Make you pause, you be breathless, ready to fight for the cause. This ain't about breaking laws. This be about righting wrongs, and we all got flaws. So if you throw the first stone, your house better be made of brick walls. I want to write a poem that leaves you awestruck like, damn, girlfriend, spit that piece. From way down deep from the sole of her feet with a heart that beats the same blood as poetic legacies. I want to write a poem about freeing minds and spirits from downtrodden social classes and deterred dreams. Free from narrow-minded asses who would rather you accept as truth that you are weak, stupid, unworthy of freedom. They got you doubting that you are a child of God. I want to write a poem that defies standardization and gloats in its non-structure, lacking punctuation, a F-censorship kind of poem. See, my interpretation of every inner city situation that breeds self-devaluation will not bear the subjugation of this nation's standard American English translation. I want to write a poem about life tragedies, or better yet, life truths, because truth sets facts free. A racial profiling, black on black crime, crack babies, ADHD poem, television raising, game console playing, generation of babies being made lazy poem, a not knowing that Willie Lynch designed your undoing, 300 years of ruined poem, a single mother's frowned upon by caseworkers for still needing help with this life full of images that encourage my sisters to get low to the ground and bounce till her ass makes a clapping sound. I lay down so much that she forgets how to stand up until all she believes is that her body is the key to how much she can achieve poem. Unfulfilled dreams, suspect self-esteem poem. I want to write a poem for the brothers in the struggle who work hard every day to stay on the path of the humble, who calls on the Most High when he stumbles, and even when he invites peace and not strife, has a genuine respect for life, makes his baby's mama his wife, and is serious about the rearing of his children. He is rewarded with a job that barely pays minimum wage. Now how is he gonna feel like a man when he can barely feed his babies? This raggedy ass card he was dealt kind of poem. I want to write a poem full of cliches, metaphors, and similes about back in the days when we rocked non-stop to free-flowing hip-hop, did dances like the WAP poem, when the content of your rhyme mattered and careers could be shattered if your lyrics was whack poem, before gangsters and hustlers and pimps took over the track poem. I want my hip-hop back poem. I want to write a poem that leaves the reader distracted by lingering thoughts of what lies between the tongue-twisting punchlines. Heavy with mood, sick with attitude, smooth and mellow, you sit back and enjoy this high poem. I want to write a poem that retracts the common adage that Bill Clinton is black because he can blow a mean sax, or that J-Lo is shaped like a sister from the back because sometimes we give our culture away too easily. I want to write a poem, and I am going to write until we stop striving to be equal to an uncouth people. My brothers and sisters, you are already regal. And I am going to write until it no longer matters whose pockets are fatter, because our struggles are still the same, and most of us still bear the mark of our slave-given name. And I am going to write until my people are less conformed and prepared to inform the next generation. Liberation, it's It's in the path that we pave, and the legacy that remains after we have lived our last days. And I am going to write a poem with roots that run deep and instill in we that being free does not mean that we must surrender our identity. So you tell me, did I write the poem?
You wrote
Wisdom.
that poem.
The psalmist in the studio.
Thank you.
You wrote that poem.
Thank you.
Wrote it.
Let me tell you something about that poem. It is 10 years, if not more, old.
Really?
How relevant
Very.
is it still? That's
Because I was
heavy.
sitting here thinking, like, when did she write this? Because it matches very much to the times that we're in now.
If not 10, 10 is minimal, and
What
it
year was
may
this book?
be. Now, this book was published 3 years ago, but the poems in here probably span over the course of about 15 years.
Wow.
And I was going to say from 2001 to now, it's still relevant. From the
Yeah.
90s.
I mean, really and truly, when we think, I was listening to What's Going On by Marvin Gaye, and the relevancy of that, when we think about what's happening in the world today, I have to keep reminding myself that it's not that different. And we've come a long way, but not far enough.
So true.
And we have so far to go. And it's sometimes frightening because I feel like we have further to go than we did in the 60s.
I think because we lost some things
Yeah.
along the way.
Yeah, we definitely lost just a sense of who we are, and I think that people always talk about the design. You guys heard me mention Willie Lynch in this poem. So there was a time, I know when I first heard about Willie Lynch and read the letter, that people said, "Oh, it's a make believe letter. It's not real." I thought so.
But it's
So what
not
if
about it's not
so
about
what
the
if it's
letter stuff.
fictional? If you've never read it,
It's deep.
I'm going to need you to read it. I mean, the first paragraph is talking about, he literally says, I'm going to teach you how to break a man like you break a horse.
My thing about whether or not it's authenticated is how relevant it is.
And that's my
Who
point. So
wrote it?
Yeah.
The thing is whoever wrote that, they had it mapped out to a T.
He's
They
very,
really
very
did.
specific, and he says that I'm going to teach you how to break a man so much so that he will teach the next 300 years of his generations. It's very specific. It was written in 1712. That means 2012 was the 300-year anniversary of the letter, whether it was real or not.
It's still relevant.
It's not only relevant, it manifested. It manifested, and that's the part that's really scary, because a lot of where we are, and I was just talking about this with a friend of mine, we talked about the civil rights movement and how is it possible that we don't have the same fire on us. I think that fire is there. I think it is hidden by a lot of bad frequency in the universe, because we're so consumed by other things, and those things that we are consumed about, that is the plan. That was the design. We can't beat you this way. We will continue to reinvent ways to beat you. And that's what I see is relevant about the letter. That
The
if
plan
you
is right there in
can't do
front of us,
it
isn't it?
with whips and chains, then we do it with your music. And we do it with you. That's what I see has been manifested from the letter. So authentic or not, it's heavy and it's too real for it. Who gives a care if who cares if it's real or not? It's so heavy that it's enough to pay attention to. And sometimes I think you hear people talk about the design, but they really don't know where that design came from. I mean, America intended to be, the forefathers of this country intended for this to be the New World Order. And that plan never changed. For whatever reason, there were some rich black people, we got a black president, a lot of things happened that was great for black people when we started saying, everything, no. America did not change. It's still on the same mission that it was when they landed on Plymouth Rock.
Wow. The name of the book?
Lyrics of Love, Lessons Learned.
That's what it is. We're going to hear more from Wisdom the Psalmist after this on Barry's Poetic Session. And welcome back to Barry's Poetic Session, where our special guest, Wisdom, the Psalmist, in the studio.
Wisdom!
You just did where you wrote about a poem, and that's like...
She said, did she write that poem?
You wrote that poem, but that's one of those, you're a poet, but you've been writing, then you start to write that poem. Is that how it was?
Yeah. And I actually know somebody else who has a poem called I Want to Write a Poem or something to that extent. It didn't come from, although poets will do that. We will hear another poet do a piece, and how we feel about what they're saying is completely different. So we're inspired by it. It's not,
but it's your take on your love.
Yeah, definitely.
And your love of poetry, and you're going to do another poem?
I am. I'm going to do this poem, and I'm going to switch up the energy just a little bit here. I wrote this poem, Takalani will attest to this. I use my page as a social kind of commentary, my Facebook page. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes I talk about relationships and love and our relation to each other. And I can only talk about Black love because that's all I know. I'm sorry, that was the color of that skin right there. So that's all I know. And I'm not saying that people love differently because of their color of their skin, but I have, I'm 42 years old. I would say 85% of the sisters that I call my friends are not married. And a lot of times I think it's because they don't have a clue what love is. They just out here, they just Hollywood, Valentine, love and hip hop. They just out here taking all kind of crazy cues about what this thing is. So I wrote this piece, and I'm convinced they can't get it because so, I have some very, very distinct ideas about love. It is not possessive. Nobody can be your everything. If you believe that, then you're setting yourself up for failure. That's just ridiculous.
Absolutely.
It's just ridiculous. And the reason why it's ridiculous, because there are some parts inside of you that you're supposed to fill up. Mm-hmm. They ain't got nothing to do with nobody else.
I think love is more like a puzzle, two puzzle pieces come together to complement one another, or
I mean, sometimes you will compliment us, sometimes you won't. I mean, it is, and I mean inside of the course of the relationship. Right. Obviously, it has to be something complimentary for you to link.
But Barry and I were actually just talking about this not too long ago as a married couple. Like, yes, we're the stewards, but it's also I'm still Tiffany, he's still Barry. We still are individuals. And we still have individual goals. And yes, they affect the whole family, but you're still an individual and there's still individual work you have to do. And I don't care how in love you are, you can't be consumed by one person.
Mm-hmm. And I think that, I want to say Albert Einstein said this, do not quote me that that's true, but you can look it up and let one of them know if it's right. He said, every want can become a need, and every need has an ego to feed. And what that says to me in general is, and specifically is that you can want. I think because we're human, we have a want for love, and that's love. Your mama love you, your kids love you, your family. So that's just the exchange of that kind of energy. But when that want becomes a need, and what I see for most of the people, a lot of, well, I ain't gonna say the most, I'll say a lot of women, is that the need for love, I take that back, the need to be in a relationship or to be married has become so consuming for most women that they doing all the wrong things to get it's leading them in really bad directions. You know what I mean? So you have to be very careful that something doesn't become an addiction for you. Do I want to have a lifetime companion? Absolutely. Do I need one? No. I'm a breathe. I'm gonna still live if I don't. I'm a breathe.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? And that's what we talk when we talk about needs. So anyway, I wrote this piece called Love Is. And it's funny because it was taken from the 1 Corinthians. And let me just say this. I am not a religious person. Now when you say that, people say, no, listen. I'm not a fanatical religious person. But I do do have some understanding of the verse where it talks love is kind and is patient, because I don't think that has anything to do with religion. I think that is a very strong definition of how we should relate to each other, regardless of if it is romantic, if it is familial, if it is girlfriend, your sister friend, your whatever it is. There's some very basic things that if we follow, I believe we'll do better inside of this thing. So It became a wedding poem. That was not the intent, but I done said it at like 10 weddings. Okay, anyway. Love is patient. It is content on waiting for its proper season to bloom. It makes room for reason. It never rushes to assume. Love keeps life in tune. It stands firm through the blues. It walks a mile in its partner's shoes. And love is kind. It does not reflect malice at any time. Even when energies are unaligned, expressions remain benign. With endurance in mind, it bends sometimes. Because being in each other's lives is far more important than being right. It takes work, so we think first. We consider what it's worth, and we stay the course, even when it is easier to desert. With every breath he takes, love makes the echo of your name sound safe in his mouth. You never have to doubt where his intention lies. Love clarifies. And love's allegiance is complete. It does not compete for attention or affection. It doesn't envy possessions or stifle progression. It knows that mutual elevation is a blessing. Love doesn't boast. It doesn't need to be gassed to float. It lives out loud even without sound, and it is not proud. It doesn't need to be heard. It doesn't need the declaration of word to be bona fide. It is not cerebral. The spirit is its guide, and it gets stronger as it grows. Love exists because God says so. Love is not rude. It does not easily become uncouth, courteous and polite, like day making way for night. Respect is a given for both positions. If the king exhibits knowledge, then the queen will manifest wisdom. Love is being his choice even when his options are plentiful. Love is checking the tone of voice so that you never sound resentful. Love reciprocates. It gives as much as it takes, and it never emasculates or degrades or allows itself to be replaced with hate. Frankly speaking, it is not self-seeking. It does not serve the individual, but shares in the collective continual. When things fall off track, love is the vehicle that brings us back to the middle. Love is knowing that she has the power to break your heart, but trusting her never to impart such pain. Love never seeks to gain pleasure in causing someone grief, so we stay mindful of our words and our deeds. Misery has no place in love's company. Love requires favor, but it shouldn't be a labor. And it never wants to have to apologize later or be in danger that something said or done out of anger will cause us to lose our anchor. Love is not tit for tat. Well, he did this, so I'm going to do that. It keeps no record of wrongs, but deals with the problem and moves on. Love is that cute little way that he lets you know from day to day that in his heart you play, in his life you play a special part because you occupy a necessary place in his heart. Love is seeing him walk into a room and find yourself totally consumed by the way he moves through it. Love is an invaluable resource, so be careful of how you use it. It does not delight in falsehoods, but rejoices in truth. It protects where threats attempt to pull it loose. Love always trusts, and it always looks up. Its hope inspires the best in everyone who takes the time to connect. Wealth, power, success, material assets, intelligence, great sex. Love perseveres longer than any of that. Check the facts. Where love is invited to dwell, it never fails.
That's that peace.
That's that
Wisdom.
peace.
See why this is her name?
I guess so. Speaking about what I feel.
You said something in one of your poems that I probably can't say on here. We'll talk about it after the show.
I got a lot of those.
But it's true.
Myself.
Well, I was going to say reciprocate.
Just give me an idea.
Yeah, you got to say at least what is the name of the poem. And
Belly full.
Oh. Yeah, I can't do that on here. I mean, even though this is internet and it's YouTube, you can get away with a lot more. Y'all gonna have to come out and check me out.
I've even requoted you on that.
You know where I got that from? My grandmother, who was 90 years old when she died, used to have all these sayings. She used to have all these crazy, can't hit him in the ass with a red apple. We ain't know what happened. We didn't know nothing what she was talking. I promise you, we would just be like, okay. So when she passed away, we made this little booklet of all her sayings.
Oh,
She
that's
had,
so cool.
and her name was Wilhelmina. and we called them Willow Meanings.
Mm.
And everybody kind of talked about the first time they heard it. So it's a cute little book. I'm gonna have to get it for you.
Yes.
But she had all these little quotes, and so you had like 2 or 3 people who would translate what they thought the quote meant based on when she said it to them in their life. It is the cutest and funniest thing. And I got that quote. My mother, she used to say that.
I would love to see that.
Yeah.
She said what?
I can't say it.
She said reference to it.
I cannot say it.
Something about your belly foot.
I can't say it. All I'm gonna say is,
Trust me, you benefit from it.
Yeah. Hey. All right now. I am actually, if I can say this, we have the biggest issue with venues here in Cincinnati where poetry is concerned. Would you all not agree?
I would agree, absolutely.
So I've been approached, and this is the reason why I kind of took a break for a little while, to do a show. It's a new place here called Park Place Restaurant. If I make a reference to it, y'all won't know what I'm talking about, but it's in Forest Park.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've been waiting like 2 weeks for the brother, but anyway, he might see this, so let me. Okay. Rewind. Okay. So I'm hoping that it will. I'll make sure that I let Tak and Barry know, so you guys can promote it, and hopefully, I
Absolutely.
promise you'll hear the piece. We'll call it GP. We'll call it GP. You'll hear the piece if you come out. It has become a crowd favorite. But
Oh,
just
yes. I
just
love
don't
it.
judge
Like
me
a gap.
when you hear it.
Okay.
I'm a whole woman. I'm spiritual, and I'm mental, and I'm a lot, and I'm nasty.
Okay.
Because I'm grown.
That's right, you grown.
That's right.
You can do that.
And I don't think it diminishes any other part of who I am.
But
As
you
a
know what?
matter-
We are allowed to be nasty.
I'm
We
just-
are women.
As
We are
a
allowed
matter
to
of
be.
fact, I think that when you develop the rest of yourself, that part of you develops too.
It does.
How absolutely sad if it doesn't. Whew.
All
Sad
I know
for you.
is you got some pointers in that poem, and any woman can apply it.
Listen, yes. Think I'm trying to figure out if I can. How can I swing it to say it? It's got
can't say it.
it's got way too many parts in it.
You can't.
I ain't gonna be able to do. Oh yeah, that ain't gonna work out.
Too hot for TV.
You know what? So we got a lot going on. But before we continue, if someone wants to get in touch with you and have you perform, or something doesn't work out, but they want you to host, and they spot instead, and how they get in touch with you?
Easiest way is probably my Facebook page. You can search for me under my name. It was private for a long time, and I was like, why are people not? Oh, because they can't. Okay. It is. Oh God, it's so long, but I'm not changing it. I don't care. It's my first name, Dawn, D-A-W-N. It's my poetry name, Wisdom the Psalmist. But if you put Dawn, D-A-W-N, my name is not D-O-N. That is a dude. You'd be
Right.
surprised at how many people spell my name that way. Which you
Really?
But if you put Dawn space Wisdom, it'll come up. It's the only one in there that way. So
Okay. Don Space
Space
Wisdom,
Wisdom.
it'll come up. But it's Dawn
Wisdom,
Wisdom, the Psalmist, Crooks. So easiest way. You can send them. Yeah, you can send a message. It'll go to the other box if I don't know you. Don't be sending no crazy stuff, because I will base you. Listen, the girl at my job told me I was the clapback queen. I didn't even know. I didn't even know what
You
clapback
are.
was.
You are.
Child, I didn't even know what clapback was. I was like, okay.
Where people clap back is.
It's when somebody says something to you and they trying to be funny, but you funnier. Pow, pow, big guns. You know what I mean?
You get them back.
Yeah,
Get 'em back
I
real
had no
quick.
idea I was, and then that dawned on me. Like, and now ever since she said it, I feel obligated to live up to it. Ain't that something?
I've seen you do it on Facebook.
Ooh,
Yeah.
who I was telling. I don't know what GPS told you to come from me, but redirect, reroute. Don't do that. That ain't
Rerouting.
what's up. All right, let me behave myself.
No, I was gonna say, you want any shout outs? People. You want that?
I mean, not really. I want to thank you guys. I want to thank you guys for having me here today. I enjoy doing this thing, you know. Sometimes I appreciate when people can appreciate what come out these lips. I'm grateful for that because I know sometimes it's a little much. I realize that. You know, my family and friends, the poetry community here, as different as it is, there is always, for some of us, there's always a tremendous amount of love. I found a lot of love in this community. And we don't see each other and talk to each other every day. But when we do, it is always the same. And I'm grateful for that. So shout out to the poets in Cincinnati, Dayton, Columbus. I don't know nobody else, the rest of y'all. No, I'm just playing. But yeah, you know, and shout out to this art form. Stay real to the art form. Less to the performance, more to the art form.
All right.
Yeah.
And did you want to partake any wisdom or anything about your activism?
Yeah, we had a pretty heavy conversation prior to the camera rolling. This is what I would probably suggest is find me on Facebook, and a lot of stuff that I post, probably 95% of the stuff I post. Sometimes I'm cute and I be taking pictures. But
you always cute, not sometimes.
But
always.
You know, sometimes I be feeling a little, you know, that one way side, and they want the world to see how I'm feeling on that day. But I use it for social commentary and political and cultural commentary, a lot of what's going on today. I would invite people to read it. I post for the purpose of dialogue. I want the dialogue to be there. What I won't allow is people to come on and be disrespectful to other people. I think we can have disagreements. And they can be strong disagreements. I was on the debate team. We weren't taught to debate soft. But at the same time, I require respect. So just really quickly, one thing I want to encourage us to do as a people, as whatever movement it is, whether it's Black Lives Matter or March On or whatever, all these movements that are going on, we have to find a unification in that, one voice. So everybody probably should stop trying to be that voice and let one organization prevail, allow that to happen. And we have to come up with a plan. It's okay to demonstrate and rally and protest, but those are the visible manifestations of an infrastructure. So there has to be an infrastructure, and I believe, in my opinion, this is opinion, it has to come from, it has to be tackled from every aspect. While we believe that there's nothing that we can learn from the 60s and the 70s and those movements, actually there is. What they did was they had a platform from which they tackled things economically, politically, socially, culturally, and educationally. And if we aren't looking at the bigger picture of being able to do all those things and finding all the factors that play into all those areas, yes, it's economic, but it's not solely economic. Ooh, I was getting ready to say something about economics. Bring yourself down, girl. Bring yourself down. All I'm going to say is buy black, but if you got Nikes and iPhones and you telling us to boycott Walmart, I'm looking at you sideways from the corner of my eye. I ain't feeling that. But I was so good. Get it out. You know, so yeah, I mean, we have to have some structure and we have to put it down on paper, and that requires demands and a time frame for those demands, or who we're going to demand those things from, and how do we measure what the level of success has been. And I'm ready. And I know it's a lot of soldiers. And don't discount these brothers that's out here on the street. They doing wrong, but we can guide them in the right way, because the truth is, if there ever is a revolution, they're going to be the street soldiers. Y'all ain't ready to die. These brothers ready to die every day. Every day they out here ready to die. So when it's time for a front line, we just gotta get them information for the right thing, people. But ain't none of y'all, I got a 380 and I only want to pop that mug if it's registered. Whoa. Let me just hurry up and say I am a licensed. I it's legal. It's legal. I ain't got no felonies, yo. But straight up, if we guide those brothers the right way, because the truth is, we need every facet of our community to be involved in this.
Absolutely.
From the very rich to the very poor, you know. So
Yeah.
that's it for me.
Hope, respect for one another, and each one teach one. And you say, no, that's right. Well, we want to thank you. Do you have anything else before we go, Takalani?
I just want to say that, again, I think you live up to your name.
Thank you.
And the one thing that has resonated with me about you over the years is that you may be clapback queen and you may be very passionate in things that you believe in, but I don't feel like you're disrespectful. I feel like you're always trying to uplift people, especially women. I don't hear you talk bad about people, and I just love that light in you.
Thank you. Thank you. I love my sisters. I love y'all from a special place. Whew, yeah, be hard sometimes, but no,
I know
really,
this.
from
I
way
know
down
this.
in my spirit. Truth of the matter is, when it comes to my sisters, I want the same thing for them that I want for myself, and that is a very unselfish love. So I'm not competing with my sisters. I want us to be better. We orchestrate the change. When we change, our community will change.
Right.
I believe that. So, and you know, sometimes loving sisters means you got to be, you know, say the hard stuff too. You know, I always say, whenever I do a poem that I know is kind of clapback-ish, I made up a word, pal, clapback-ish. I always say, and I know you don't heard me say this before, Ty, if you feel some kind of way when I'm saying this, then I'm talking about you. I am talking about you. Don't come at me later, go home, self-reflect, look in the mirror, deal with that right there, but don't.
Rerouting.
Well, we want to thank thank you, Wisdom the Psalmist in the studio. Check out her Facebook. Check out her social commentary, and if she makes it to Park Place in Forest Park, we will be out there. Check it out. And we'll see you next time on Barry's Poetic Session.
Thank you.
Peace.
Peace.